Minority Advocacy Council.
Good Wednesday morning, Jonesboro. This is meteorologist Tim Root with your KLEK 102.5 FM weather. Showers and thunderstorms today and tonight, maybe a severe thunderstorm. The high in the low 80s and the low about 65. The chance of showers and thunderstorms will continue Thursday. Again, maybe a severe thunderstorm. And the temperature Thursday mid to upper 70s. Friday, partly to mostly cloudy, cooler, breezy in the mid to upper 60s. Jonesboro, that's your KLEK 102.5 FM weather.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. Iran says it will no longer stand by some commitments it made in the 2015 international nuclear deal. A Pakistani Christian who'd been on death row for years over a blasphemy conviction has left the country. South Africans are voting in presidential and parliamentary elections. The Greek Prime Minister's announced tax cuts and a boost for pensions after years of austerity. And the UK's Duke and Duchess of Sussex have shown their baby off to cameras for the first time.
It's 9:01.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Wednesday to you. I hope that you're having a great start to your day. You're tuned in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. I'm your host, Maleigha Jones, and my special guest today is Miss Maleigha Cook from the Craighead County 4-H, is it club? I keep wanting to say club, but 4-H, just Craighead County 4-H.
Yeah, Craighead County 4-H. Technically, it's Youth and Development Program.
Okay.
I jokingly say that at work we like to think of the biggest, longest titles that we can make and that won't fit on your business card, and then that's what we call ourselves.
Alrighty then. And so we're going to just get into our conversation because 4-H encompasses so many things. We touched on it last week when you came with Miss Carlina.
Yeah.
But we want to give this time to just 4-H and just break down maybe some of the different clubs and programs you have and what's available for the kids, and then also how you, the community, can get more involved, because we can never have enough leaders working with our children.
Oh, that's so true. You know, I tell people all the time I could have 200 4-H clubs, but that means I need 400 leaders, because really I need 2 leaders per club. So, you know, what I need to do is just basically sign up the entire population of Jonesboro,
okay,
and then I would be good. So if you're hearing this, you don't know it, but you're already a club leader. We just have to figure out what you want to lead. So
if you want those people to have a bunch of kids at your house, look, that's your club right there.
See? That's right. It only takes 6 members for a club. I mean,
wow.
Seriously. If my mom had 4 kids, she basically had a 4-H club. My grandmother had 12 children. She could have had 2 clubs, people. Don't be stingy.
Okay.
Oh.
Like, I know some people that have children that play sports and other things, sure, and they always have kids and, you know, at their house hanging out. So while they're hanging out, they're eating lunch around a table. Have a 4-H meeting.
That's right. Absolutely. It starts at home. We're a grassroots organization.
Yes, ma'am. Once again, more to Dr. Sharice Jones Branch. Thank you for checking in. All right. So give us a breakdown of maybe how many clubs you already have established right here in Craighead County.
Oh, gosh. You know what? I don't know our exact number. Let's
okay.
see. Well, I can kind of go through. We have our Wild Side Club, which is all about outdoors, and it's what we call a project club.
Okay.
So we actually meet about 5 or 6 times a year. So every other month, when the weather's pretty, we go hiking, we do things outside, we fish, we go canoeing. We taught the kids how to snorkel and kayak a couple of summers ago. We do outdoor cooking, and we do a lot with the local parks around here because we just have some amazing park program, so don't reinvent the wheel, you know.
Okay.
And we're very excited. We have a brand new dog club starting up. Yes, a dog club. It's brand new. Lori Elmore is going to be spearheading that for us, and it's going to be all about obedience training, agility training, learning about conformation. Some of the kids will be participating in what's called barn hunting. Okay. So for the ones that have terrier breeds, they will be actually they hide a rat, believe it or not, in a cage. The rat's very well taken care of, by the way, to the point that it doesn't even get worked up when the dogs get around, because it's like, yeah, you really can't get to me. And it's a pet. But they hide it in bales of hay, and then they're timed, and they have basically a course that they have to follow to get to it. So anyway, we have the new dog club starting up. Our livestock club is absolutely huge. So it is all things, believe it or not, it is all things from little bitty dairy goats all the way up to large cattle. We have kids that have hogs. We have kids that have larger breed goats, sheep, hair sheep. I don't know if a lot of people know that you have hair sheep and meat sheep. So some sheep do wool and some sheep do hair, almost like human hair, depending on the breed. Yeah. So it's really cool. For those of you that knit or use yarn for anything, you guys probably already know that. We have our rabbit club, and the newest addition to our rabbit club is actually not rabbits, but I didn't even know you could show this animal, but you sure can. It's guinea pigs.
What?
Yeah, we call them cavies. That's kind of their more sciencey name. So we have the Rabbit and Cavie Club, and it has taken off, and our kids are doing really well. It's several years old now, and so the kids are really starting to do well at some of the bigger rated shows. But you don't have to even have a rabbit to be in the club if you just have an interest. And then, of course, we have our Cooking and Arts Club. And it is another huge club, and every month they meet and they either do a craft or they cook. And y'all, I don't mean like they just cook like a little sample. I mean like we got a grant and we have hot plates and electric skillets, so every kid is making a full recipe. Yeah, seriously, wow. It's amazing. So they're really truly learning how to cook. You know, it's not just little bitty fun things. It's like real things. Like 2 falls ago, one of my favorite things that we've done is they learned how to take pie pumpkins, like the little pie pumpkins, and they scraped them out, cooked it down. Well, that was cooking down to make their filling when they put all their cinnamon and cardamom and nutmeg and stuff in it. Then they made homemade pie crust. So they made from complete scratch, kids.
And what's the age range of these kids?
5 to 19 is our age range for that.
And they're making pie crust. Yes. Oh, girl, they know how to make homemade bread. They've made soap. They've done candles. They craft better than I do, which admittedly is not saying much sometimes because I'm not very crafty. But let's see. I lost track because I hadn't had any coffee, so my brain's jumping everywhere this morning. So, oh yes, and then it's a little further on the other side of the county, but we have a school club called Cool Country, and they're really active, and they focus a lot on ATV safety in that club, public speaking, but that's something, you know, that you can access in any of the clubs if you want to do it. And then we also have Hasbrook Road, so if you live over towards West Side area, that would probably be your home base, the Bono area. They actually meet at our 4-H barn that we have over there. It has a classroom on the inside. So we have a new library club I'm very excited about. And then, of course, for those of you who haven't heard, she's laughing at me because I'm pretty sure I haven't taken a breath yet. But there's so much. But in case you have not heard, Miss Quabila is one of our newest 4-H leaders, and she's starting our sewing club. So hopefully we're going to have some tailors and seamstresses coming out of that club, so we're really excited about that. And then we also have Fitness Fanatics, which is also a project club, and we do some 5Ks and we go hiking also for that club. Wow.
So, and I know I'm leaving out clubs, and if you're listening to me, I'm sorry, but I'll think of you later and I'll plug you in somewhere along the show.
Wow, that is a lot.
A lot.
So far. Dr. Branch mentions, she says, good morning. I've read a great book about the history of 4-H clubs, the 4-H harvest, sexuality, and the state of rural America by Dr. Gabriel H. Rosenberg. And then she said, is the 4-H club still mostly made up of young people in rural communities?
I think that if you were to look at the state for Arkansas specifically, he just brought in donuts, y'all. If you were to look at the state of Arkansas specifically, because overall Arkansas is more rural, I would have to say yes for here. However, one of our biggest clubs is a friend of mine named Erica. She's the county extension 4-H agent over in Little Rock. That's Pulaski County. And she has an absolutely rocking program. And she'll tell you straight up, the majority of my kids are in school clubs, they're into fashion, they're into robotics, they're into technology. She's like, I don't know anything about livestock, you know. So we are, if you looked at the numbers, primarily rural, I would say, but we have a lot of city kids in at this point. It is not the corn and tomato clubs that our grandparents and great grandparents were in. It has really truly evolved.
So is 4-H, you know, now that STEM/STEAM is becoming more more present, or in schools and just in communities in general, is 4-H adapting?
Oh, yes.
Adopting, rather.
Yes, both, I think, would be appropriate. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, we host a couple of different robotics competitions, and my kids actually went down. It was 3 years ago. We went down and we participated in a 4-H program called Sea Perch. And so, shout out to ASU, by the way, because they let us use their pool at the Hypus Complex. So, we hold our own state qualifier for that competition. And so Sea Perch is an underwater robotics competition. So these kids are learning how to solder, they are learning how to encase these batteries, are learning how to encase the wiring so that it can be sank and so that it can actually maneuver. But not only does it have to sink down and stay down, it also, you have propeller action on it. So it has to be able to maneuver through the water, and you actually have somebody in the water and waiters that's working the remote, and then you have siders along the course, and it actually goes through obstacle courses, a series of rings, ups, downs, unders, and then depending on what the design for the Sea Perch is that year, it may even have to lift and place things, and it all happens underwater.
Wow. So do you feel that the success of 4-H, well, first of all, how long has 4-H been around?
4-H was started in the early 1900s.
Oh, wow.
Gosh, don't quote me. I think it was 1908.
Okay.
That's when it started. It's well over 100 years old.
Okay, and so do you think that the success of 4-H can be attributed to its ability to be flexible in times of uncertainty and times of change? And so it's adapting it has to its environment.
Sure, absolutely, and that really has been the mainstay for 4-H, and I think that's why it is literally the largest youth organization in the world. 4-H is in 82 different countries. People think of it typically just as a U.S. thing and a rural state thing. It's in every state, and then, like I said, 80-something. I believe it's 82 countries. But like I said, I think that's in the mainstay for 4-H because that is how 4-H was born.
Okay.
It had to adapt and adopt to society because we were at a point right before 4-H, or right when 4-H happened, we were kind of on the brink of something that was going to happen a couple of decades later called the Green Revolution, which is where you had all of this new technology for agriculture, and honestly, the use of chemicals were starting to help make massive changes in the amount of food that we were producing. But you know, the adage, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. We had a lot of farmers that had done it that way forever and ever, amen. Maybe since, seriously, the 40 acres and a mule thing, and I'm not exaggerating, I mean seriously. So this new technology was coming out, this new chemical technology was coming out, and they're like, we don't want any part of it, we don't want to do it. We're not interested in that. So they started with the youngsters who were about to go to universities. At this time, the majority of that was men, but then our females that were going to be stay at home, that were going to be canning and things like that, putting up food. So they started bringing that university information back to what we call corn and tomato clubs, and they would deliver that at the meetings. And then the youngsters they were the ones who developed and started doing test plots. So they would give them the seed, or they would give them the plants, and they would use the university information on those plots, and they were out producing the adults that have been doing it forever. So that's how they started getting university information into the farming society. And then, of course, the young kids grew up with that mentality, and then it just transferred over. And so now you're seeing the same thing starting to happen with technology and art, and honestly, even fashion. That's a huge thing in 4-H now, is fashion.
Wow, that's amazing. Dr. Branch also asked, I want to say good morning to Mr. Stan Morris for checking in. She says, I still remember the 4-H motto, I pledge my head to clearer thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health to better living for my club, my community, and my country. I'm going to write
Yes!
like
Oh
that.
my gosh, yes! That's amazing. That's amazing, yes.
She says 4-H is also a United States Department of Agriculture program.
Yeah, well, it was, yes. Recently, we've kind of had a USDA 4-H divorce. Not that there was anything, no one was upset or whatever, but for different reasons, they just kind of decided to part ways. But we will always be with our land grant university because we were developed through extension and extensions through land grant. But yes, it was up until just the last few years. That's correct. It was affiliated with USDA, but we're not anymore. They do still help some, but not like they did.
Do you feel that some people I hate to say on the outside looking in, who have never experienced anything 4-H related, kind of have a different mentality about it, or
Sure.
Thinking, okay, 4-H
Farm kid.
Farming, agriculture, like that's all they think it is, without trying to get to know what it really is.
Absolutely. Well, and I hear that, honestly. I'm going to tell you, probably once a week, people will say, oh, well, I knew that we had 4-H, but I didn't know there was anything for my child because we live in town. I thought it was just livestock, or I thought it was just for kids with animals. And so what they don't realize is that we are producing videographers, we're producing choreographers. Oh my gosh, the kid that won the state dance competition last year, just amazing. I mean, I'm like, ooh, J-Lo, girl, I hope you got your stuff going on, because he's coming up real fast.
Wow.
But seriously, DJs, we have we call our state tech team, and they do all of our videography for all of our big events. And that is literally just high school students. And they go through there, they learn how to handle the equipment. And when I tell you, you cannot tell that our stuff is not professionally produced. Look on our 4-H website, the videos and stuff that you see on there, you cannot tell that it's not professionally produced.
It's all kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. And do you feel that, we know that society is changing. We know that our food that we eat comes from somewhere. It has to be grown, raised, whatever the case, depending on your lifestyle, your new diet, nutrition. Do you think it's important for kids to learn where your food actually comes from? Because it goes from the farm. It doesn't always go farm to table. Sometimes it goes farm to factory to table.
That's absolutely correct. Yes, and that's actually one of the things that when I go into these school programs, I try to base it on the farm to table outlook of things, because you're correct. It's funny. I read a thing the other day, and I also heard that 90% of stats are not true, kind of a joke there. But statistically, it just threw out some random stat, and it was a certain percentage of kids in high school think that hamburgers are made of ham, and not beef. Now, I don't know how true that really is, but I will tell you that very often when I go into the school system, that kids, I can say, hey, where does beef come from? How many of you guys in here like steak? And some of them will hold their hand up and I'll say, where does that come from? And they will tell you Kroger or Walmart. And I'm like, well, there's a few steps prior to that, And then I'll ask them, like, how many of you guys like green beans, or how many of you guys like tomatoes, and where do they come from? And it's the same concept. So we do really truly try to teach the kids that from the ground up, from the producer all the way up to the final product.
Okay. All right. And then with these different programs, they're learning so much more than just what the title of the program says.
Oh, yes.
Let's get into, they're learning life skills, for one, that's going to help them throughout their adult life. Whether they choose to continue with these activities in their adult life, they're learning skills so they can adapt, to
absolutely.
Wherever their life goes.
Yes. We were talking about this when I was here last week. One of my biggest things that I focus on in Craighead County 4-H is public speaking.
Okay.
And I know everyone does not like to public speak. As a matter of fact, I don't know anyone that's like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to get up in front of 500 people and talk about something today. That sounds that sounds like so much fun. But the reality of it is, I don't care whether you are in Fitness Fanatics and you're an avid runner, or if you are in Cooking and Arts, or if you're in Coal Country, or if you're in Hasbrook, or if you're in livestock. When you come into this 4-H program, you will learn how to speak, because you may not ever like speaking. You may not ever want to voluntarily speak, but the fact of the matter is you will have to speak either in school, in college, in that job interview, to deliver information to a certain group of people, and you may not like it, but you need to know how to control that fear, and you need to know how to be an effective speaker. So my sister and I both came through the 4-H program, and can you imagine? I never had any trouble at public speaking competitions. That was actually my 4-H project. I know everybody listening is super shocked about that right now. See, it never bothered me. But my sister, who is equally as good a speaker as I am, was horrified. Oh. But Natasha, shout out, by the way, to my sister's chiropractic clinic over on Southwest Drive, Lights Health and Wellness.
She a sponsorship for that.
Yeah, that's right. You just send me a bill. So hit her up. She will too. So she is horrified of public speaking, but she's very good, and she'll tell you 4-H taught me how to control my fear and to get through it.
Awesome.
So that's my big life skill. I mean, we do other ones, but obviously that's my soapbox, because I just think you have to do it.
Yes, ma'am. All right, so before we go to break, when Dr. Brent says, how closely do you work with the Arkansas Farm Bureau Federation?
Oh my goodness. Let me tell you about Craighead County Arkansas Farm Bureau. Am I going to get charged for that sponsorship too?
We're just going to hit them up.
Okay, we're just going to hit them up.
Well, you might have to hold that because we're getting ready to go to break here soon. So.
We'll come back to them here in a minute.
So we're definitely... I
love them.
When we come back from break, we'll talk about Farm Bureau. They have been around, I remember them when I was growing up in elementary school. That business has been around.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have to...
Now we'll talk about them when we come back from break.
When we come back, because we don't want to run out of time. I want to say good morning to Miss Rebecca Laura Evans. Thank you so much for checking in. Again, I'm talking with Miss Maleigha Cook from the Craighead County 4-H, or as she says, Youth and Development Program. Long name, just take up space.
Just takes up space.
But we'll be right back.
We work with kids. The end.
We'll be right back after these announcements.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Are you helping your spouse have an affair? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. There's no excuse for having an affair, and sure, sometimes they happen out of the clear blue, but more often than not, affairs don't just happen. Usually, there are things that are said or not said, done or not done over the years that are contributing factors. Here are some ways to push your spouse toward an affair. First, constantly compare and criticize. Hurt and tear down your spouse with critical or comparing words instead of lifting them up. Second, invest all your time and energy in your kids. Be sure that your universe revolves around your children. For more ways to help your spouse have an affair, listen to this week's episode of the Family First podcast at markmerrill.com. Remember, your family first.
Family Minute is made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization committed to service to all mankind. Kappa Nu Omega Alpha Kappa Alpha on Facebook and KNOMEGA1908.com.
Family Minute is brought to you by the Gears Foundation, a nonprofit organization providing students with assistance in their academic and career pursuits. Gears Foundation on Facebook, Gears_Inc. on Instagram, and the Gears Foundation at gmail.com.
The Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated was established on June 28, 1997 by 13 dynamic women who accepted the challenge of chartering the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter. Today, the chapter continues to impact the Jonesboro community by sponsoring programs such as the Sonia D. Williams Scholarship Breakfast, Community Back to School Bash, Delta Academy, Voter Registration Drive, and autism awareness. Our focus correlates with the national theme, joy in our sisterhood, power in our voice, and service in our hearts. Our chapter supports Delta's 5-point programmatic thrust: economic development, educational development, international awareness and involvement, physical and mental health, and political awareness and involvement. More information about the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated is available at www.jonesboroalumnidst.org or via email jonesboroalumni@live.com.
This portion of KLEK programming can be made possible by your business. Your support will help in educating, entertaining, and empowering the community by supporting local talent, serving the community you love, and providing information on issues you care about from a different perspective. Call 870-203-9951 or visit klekfm.org to learn how we can help connect you more with the community, or visit us at 1411 Franklin Street. KLEK 102.5 Jonesboro, educating, entertaining, and empowering the community.
Experience the joy with Bishop Adrian R. Rogers, pastor of Fullness of Joy Church, 2120 Thorn Street, Jonesboro, Arkansas, 72401. Wednesday night, Word and Worship, 7 p.m. Prayer Thursday night at 7 p.m. Sunday School, 9:30 a.m. Sunday Morning Worship, 11 o'clock a.m. And our Sunday Night Live service at 7 p.m.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
All right, welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM with Miss Maleigha Cook from the Craig County 4-H and Youth and Development Youth and Development Program. We've been talking about the different clubs, and there's so many more clubs that she didn't name. If they come to her mind, she'll throw them out there. But we want to kind of pick up our conversation where we left off, talking about Farm Bureau and their role in 4-H. And Farm Bureau has been around like forever.
It's funny because I can remember my parents were with Farm Bureau when I was little, and they just do everything. I'm pretty sure they'll insure whatever you want them to insure if it's farm related, and not just farm related, obviously. But for us, Craig County Farm Bureau, honestly, it's really been a godsend because I can go to them and say, hey guys, I need so-and-so for the 4-H. Or, hey, I need some goat stalls for our new 4-H barn. And all I know is half the time just a check shows up, or somebody say, oh yeah, you were on the agenda at the Farm Bureau meeting and we're sending you money. So they're absolutely amazing. And our women's committee, or women's, told you no coffee. You should not let me in the studio without coffee. Our women's committee here is really amazing, and they do so much in the community that I don't even think people are really aware of. Like once a year, and we do a rice tasting day. So they put that together, and it's all different rice dishes, and our 4-H kids are pretty heavily involved. We have several that always make dishes for that, and that's open to the community, and they always invite everyone out. And it's called a tasting, but if you walk away hungry, it is just simply because you didn't go back through the line the third time, because there's always plenty. But they're so good to our 4-H kids, and I don't know if it's that way in every county, but it certainly is here in Craighead. But I can tell you that just the other day we have the Farm Bureau Dairy Contest. Okay. And so we had, I think, 6 kids that competed. So it was after hours. The ladies from the women's committee came in and they judged. We had a panel of 4 judges, which was amazing. And 3 judges and a proctor, actually. And then the kids showed the recipes that they prepared that focused on dairy, and they talked about that, and they actually did tastings of that, and then we had a tasting afterwards. And so we had 2 4-H members that won the 2 different divisions, party foods and main entree, and they'll be competing at the Arkansas Farm Bureau State Dairy Competition on June the 5th in Little Rock.
So I want to touch on again, I'm always looking at a different side of things. With 4-H, again, like these children are going through these different competitions. They're having to prepare speeches. They're having to prepare recipes or project presentations. And they're having to do research and read and, organize and analyze. And so there's so many more skills that they're learning besides just what people presume is just agriculture. There's
Correct.
so many more skills that are going to help them be successful in whatever area of their life.
Yes.
They can apply it to whatever career path they choose. And then they're also learning a lot of business related skills.
Absolutely. And we have a competition, and each state does it, but it's really big in Arkansas 4-H, called record journals or record books. Okay. And so at the end of the year, we start putting them together. Technically, you're supposed to work on them all year long in a perfect world, but in reality, about December, we start getting ours pulled together, and then we submit them to the state competition in February. So what that record journal is, those students literally keep up with receipts. They keep up with hours spent on their project. They keep up with anything that they do that expands their knowledge of their project. They keep up with their community service, and that is all put in a detailed book. Wow. I don't mean like 1 or 2 pages and you write some paragraphs. I mean a detailed Excel spreadsheet style book, and it is judged by a panel of judges. And when I say judged, I mean it is judged. I've said this a million times, and some people don't like this, but this is 4-H. It's not T-ball. Not everybody gets a trophy. You submit, you either win or you don't.
That's amazing.
So they work really hard. So it teaches them entrepreneurship. I have kids that have made serious profits on their egg projects that they started, with their chicks that they got from 4-H. And wow. So all sorts of things.
I remember seeing some posts last year when you were selling eggs. Well, you weren't selling eggs, but the kids were selling eggs, and so and other items they were selling. And so, yes, they're learning so many skills. I'm sure their parents are so grateful that they have different people in their lives that are helping to add to their knowledge bank. Right. When Dr. Brent, I should have let Dr. Brent do the interview today because she's a has a wealth of information. Okay, she says, here's a great book on the history of the Farm Bureau. Farmers Helping Farmers, The Rise of the Farm and Home Bureaus, 1914 to 1935, by Dr. Nancy Berlage, please forgive me.
I'll have to write that down.
So unfortunately it doesn't mention Arkansas. It just says, has anyone written a history of the 4-H in Arkansas?
As far as I know, there is not what I would call a book. There are several large articles that have been written. Okay. 4-H in Arkansas started in White County. That was the first clubs in the state of Arkansas. And so I do know that White County has a detailed written history, but I don't think it has been published as far as a book goes. But I have seen it. But I would say it's more of
an archive of information.
Yes, I've actually seen it, but it's just printed out. Think of it almost just like a large journal article that you would see in a newspaper.
Well, maybe not you, but someone should start a historian club.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Our alumni club for the state of Arkansas is really cool. So I don't know. I'll have to ask that question because they just uncover all kinds of stuff sometimes.
And I think maybe that might be a good, I'm just throwing stuff out there, but for each county that has a 4-H club and each city and each, they should do their own research about their own counties.
That actually is a great idea. That would be a cool statewide project.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then not necessarily make it a competition, but just a presentation, during one of the sessions.
Well, we have an absolutely stunning, and I've even been to the National 4-H Center, and personally, I think our Arkansas State 4-H Center is even nicer than the one in D.C. So we have an absolutely amazing 4-H center. If you should check it out on Facebook, it's Arkansas 4-H Center. Okay. The initial CA Vines. It's named after one of our big contributors, so the CA Vines Arkansas 4-H Center in Little Rock. But it would be really cool for each county to do that and then archive it there at the 4-H Center where it could be accessed.
All right, so we'll get to work on that.
Yeah, let's do it.
In between.
Y'all know I take these ideas and run with them.
In between eating and sleeping and just whatever else we have to do.
And 2 little girls and my other 300 4-H kids. Lots of time. And my animals.
And then Dr. Burns says, just sorry, my next book is on rural activism in Arkansas. So I've researched this quite a bit. I totally appreciate you, Dr.
I
Burns.
love it. Oh, I think I am loving your questions and just your input.
Yes.
So, no, keep them coming.
And there's so much more to 4-H that people just don't know about. Either they were never exposed or they just don't care to research or look it up. Whatever the case may be, there's so much more to 4-H than just, again, the agriculture aspect and livestock aspect of the clubs. I want to talk about getting a club started. What does it take?
Awesome.
What's the time, commitment and requirements? Just give us the rundown of all that.
Sure, absolutely. The thing with 4-H is I tell people you can be as active or as inactive as you want to be. So what I'm looking for in a leader is someone, of course, the very first thing that we do, because we are working with children, is we do a background check, which we actually pay for that, and we send that into the state office, and they run that, and that typically takes about 2 weeks to come back and to give us the thumbs up. And fortunately, we've always gotten a thumbs up in this county, so that's nice. But then once we have the background check and we know that that's something that you want to do, it's really just finding an area of interest that you would like to lead a club in. Now, I always have ideas in my head, of clubs that I would like to have. But, there may be someone that would like to do a knitting club, or there may be someone that is into woodworking. That's what I would love to have, is a woodworking club. There may be someone that says, hey, I know that you have fitness fanatics, but I'd like to take it over and do it every month instead of every couple of months, So anything that you have that is a skill or that you think would contribute to 4-H, we are welcome. Well, I welcome that. And as far as the time for it, so what we try to do is you have to have at least 10 meetings a year to be a community club and not a project club like some of my others are project clubs. But we try, and the reason we say 10 is because, sometimes it just gets really busy. The holidays get really busy. The first month of school is really busy. So we try to do one meeting a month, and the meetings are typically about an hour. Now, obviously, it takes a little prep sometimes, but I will say that in Jonesboro, don't reinvent the wheel. We have so many amazing things going on right here. For instance, like our library club that I'm hoping, think I may have a leader for. I was talking to her briefly and I said, you don't have to create a brand new curriculum for this. Our library in Jonesboro is so amazing. They have stuff going on every single day. So you guys look at their calendar and say, this month we want to do this, and this month we want to do this, and just go to those events, have your little meeting, our business meeting, where you talk about other things, part of that, and then do that project,
I can know at the library, if people go to the website or even their Facebook page, you can see it broken down by kids, teens, and adults. And they have the YA, which is the Young Adult Book Reading Club. So that can be part of their meeting.
Absolutely.
There are spaces in the library to have meetings. So do your business first, go to the book club. That's your group. That's, like you said, don't recreate the wheel. Take what's already exists and make it work for you.
It's like, for instance, Wild Side, when it meets, typically we go and do a project at the Forest Elwood Nature Center over by Craighead, or we go out to Walcott, or we go to Lake Frierson, because honestly, my leader and I, we can't do something as cool as cooking over a campfire with tons of, like 4 or 5 Dutch ovens going. And I learned how to make biscuits on a stick last March.
Oh, wow.
And, it was so cute. They took a dowel rod and you take canned biscuits, squeeze it on the end of the stick, and then you put it over a fire. And at first you're like, okay, this thing isn't cooking. And then all of a sudden it starts puffing up, and then you pull off the stick. Well, it's got the hole in the middle from where it formed around the dowel rod, and you put squeezable butter and honey in it. And eat it.
Goodness.
So, why would I try to come up with something? I can't compete with that, people, okay? So, but my 13 kids that showed up thought it was great, know? So.
And that's awesome. And then as you're talking, I'm just thinking about the different types of clubs. Like with Fitness Fanatics, I know there are personal trainers here in town. Or people who have centers that children maybe come to, gyms or whatever the case may be. While they're there, set aside that one time a month, to say, okay, this is our fitness, and incorporate a discussion about fitness, and then going through some activities. Again, you can be very creative on how
absolutely
you organize your club. Like, again, I'm going to be over the sewing club, and so I have a notebook where I've already started outlining, things to discuss and how to break those different topics down. Again, not recreating the wheel, just kind of taking from my experience, looking at what's already available information, and just tying it together.
Yes. Well, perfect example of that, and we've done this 2 different times now. Well, 2 different venues, but similar events. So, Fitness Fanatics 2 years ago, we decided that we were going to do the Little Rock modified kids marathon.
Okay.
So for that, it has the paperwork that you fill out for it. By the way, if you've never gone to any of the Little Rock Marathon stuff, it is amazing, and they put on quite the show. I was so not prepared because I was like, this is way cooler than I thought it was going to be. My older kids, they ran the 5K that morning, but then after that, what we did to prepare is our Fitness Fanatic kiddos signed up. We did the paperwork. We submitted it. I think it cost $10 per kid, and we covered that cost at the extension office. But they got these little sheets, and it looked like a track on it. Well, each section was a half a mile. So prior to the marathon, and we did this as a group together. We met once a week, I think we started doing it in January. Maybe it was twice a week. And we ran, and they colored in their little blocks, and they ran all of the mileage for the marathon except the last mile.
Okay.
So we actually had to turn in our paperwork. We had to submit it when we got there. They got their t-shirts with their t-shirts on. And then we ran the last mile together with all these other kids that participated on the Little Rock Marathon course.
That's amazing.
And I mean, they had bands set up, big speakers, music playing, high school bands are playing along that mile. I mean, you never got tired. I mean, it was just a mile, but we had little legs running with us too. But there was so much hype. And then when they finished, they got a huge finisher medallion because these kids had literally ran a marathon. They just had done it in increments because they're small, they're young. So we did the similar thing with recently with the Dock Rock and Run half marathon here in Jonesboro. They did something similar.
That is amazing. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was super fun. Really fun. We went down and spent the night before in Little Rock and all went out to eat. And so my daughter still has her finisher's medallion hanging up in her room.
That's amazing. All right, I want to say good morning to Angela Artist. And Angela says, yes, partnering with the library and other organizations is what's needed here in Jonesboro, here. And not just here in Jonesboro, other communities. Anyone out there listening in another town, county, please consider checking into your local 4-H and see what's available for you to get involved in. Dr. Brent says, I'm loving this. I once entered a muffin competition through 4-H. My muffins were so hard as hockey pucks, but I still won honorable mention.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love hearing you. I love hearing you. Because yes, I was not ever I've learned to cook later in life, but my sister, Natasha, the one I was talking about earlier, she's always been the one that cooks really well. And so she always did the cooking competitions, and I did. Talking about cooking, we just had our barbecue broiler competition. Wow. So our kids barbecued chicken. That's been a big one. I didn't do that one when I was younger, but they barbecued chicken, and the county winners and the top 5 in my county, because we have a pretty big competition in that area, they went on to district. And I was so happy this year. Craighead County, we almost swept the district competition. Wow. We had a Craighead County member win junior broiler. We had a Craighead County member win senior broiler, and a Craighead County member won second in turkey in the turkey cooking competition. Wow. So the seniors, the first place and our second place girl, they get to go to the State Poultry Festival in Rogers this summer, and it's all expense paid. So they put them up for 3 days there in a hotel with their parents. They give them tickets to the festival, which is huge. Whoever the headliner country star is comes in and does a private concert for the 4-H kids. They have an ice cream social for them one night. They come in, they have a brand new grill waiting on them so that they're all cooking on the same grill. So, and then they take that grill home. They get spending cash. It's pretty cool.
So, okay, I'm just trying to wrap my brain around all these. There are so many.
We're just huge. It really
perks that come along with being a part of the clubs and being consistent and being active. And
yes.
So while they're giving up their time and energy, they're getting a lot in return as well. And not just financially, or the gifts. They're getting things the kids can't really see it now. Some of them can't. But as they get older, they'll look back and say, wow, I received almost more, probably more than what I actually gave.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you, I started 4-H when I was 6 or 7. I think I was finishing kindergarten, so I would have been 6. And we actually, it's kind of a funny story. Believe it or not, I actually was really shy when I was little. And my mom was really shy when she was younger. And she came to school, it's a true story. It was the end of the school year, and I was sitting on the front step waiting on her because we lived in a little tiny town. And, you know, car line back then, it wasn't all organized like it is now. I mean, it's like, you know, pull a straw and go and hope for the best, you know. So, but I was sitting on the step waiting on her. I was crying because I'd broken my little jelly shoe back when jelly shoes, before we realized they all had like paint from other countries that were not good for you, you know. But I was wearing my little jelly shoe and it had broken right before school. I was just crying and I didn't want to tell my teacher and I was embarrassed. And so it was fair season because at that time we had our fair back then right at the end of the school year. And so I was showing my pony in the fair, and she just told me, she's like, sis, you're going to have to not be so shy. You should have just told Miss Milam what was going on. And I was like, I don't want to talk to anybody. So we got my pony to the fair that afternoon, and then she said, well, let's go get a hamburger. I have the best mom in the world, by the way. I didn't know. I know y'all think your mom's the best, but she's not. So I'm just kidding. We all have great moms. But so she said, well, sis, let's go get a hamburger over at the concession stand. It was the 4-H concession stand. And that's how I met my leaders over in Batesville at the time, Nelda and Wayne. And so I got involved. And I had no idea as a 7-year-old that 30 plus years later, 20 something years later, I would be a county extension agent.
Wow. You
know, and that I would be the one over the 4-H youth programming in my county, just like there were 4-H agents there, you know. And so that was really cool. And the things that I've learned in 4-H, you know, horses was a huge project, and it paid my bills for a long time being a professional trainer on the East Coast in the hunter jumper world.
Oh wow, that's amazing. We're going to get ready for a break. I want to quickly try to get these comments in. Miss Angela says, I am taking a sewing class now. Cue me to link up so I can be a partner with you. All right. And then Miss Dr. Brent says, you may have addressed this earlier, but does 4-H offer college scholarships?
Oh, yeah, all kinds of scholarships. We'll talk about that next.
All right, we're going to take a break and come back and talk about scholarships.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. We all know what it feels like to be hit with an unexpected bill or expense. On the other hand, there are also times when money falls into our hands unexpectedly. A big tax refund, a major cash gift from a relative, a run of luck at the casino. Having a plan for unexpected income can be just as important as anticipating unexpected expenses. Just remember, debt first, saving second, and spending last. First, put at least 50% of your windfall toward paying down debt, starting with high-interest credit cards. Second, put at least 10% into your long-term emergency savings fund. And if your savings fund is fully invested, meaning you have at least 6 months of your annual income saved, then you can put all of this 20% towards your retirement savings. As for the rest, have fun with it. Spend it any way you want. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. for Money Matters, a product of American Urban Radio Networks.
Money Matters is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization focused on joy in our sisterhood, power in our voice, and service in our hearts. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Money Matters is brought to you by the Gears Foundation, a nonprofit organization providing students with assistance in their academic and career pursuits. Gears Foundation on Facebook, Gears_Inc. on Instagram, and the Gears Foundation at gmail.com.
Money Matters is brought to you by Bancorp South, offering checking, savings, loans, credit cards, and wealth management. 5 locations in Jonesboro to serve you. www.bancorpsouth.com or 870-972-9800.
It's graduation season, and KLEK 102.5 FM is offering you an opportunity to congratulate or shout out that special graduate in your life for just $10 per message. The messages will air from May 1st through 25th at 7:31 a.m., 12:31 p.m., and 5:31 p.m. Proceeds go to help keep KLEK on the air. KLEK will also donate a portion of the proceeds to the Sonia D. Williams Scholarship Fund of the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. To sign up and purchase your greeting for that special graduate, visit our website at www.klekfm.org or call 870-277-1080. This event is a KLEK fundraiser.
KLEK thanks CJ Pepper and the staff of Life Strategies Counseling Incorporated for helping people through hard times in life such as depression, family issues, stress, abuse, and more. They offer counseling and therapy for all ages, individuals, families, and groups. They are located at 1217 Stone Street. Phone number 1-866-972-1268 or online at lscihelp.com.
The Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated was established on January 1st, 1977, originally serving Blytheville, Arkansas, and now serving Jonesboro, Blytheville, Osceola, Marion, and West Memphis, Arkansas. Today, the chapter continues to make an impact by focusing on Alpha's national community outreach initiatives such as My Brother's Keeper, A Voteless People is a Hopeless People, Go to High School, Go to College, Project Alpha, Boy Scouts, and the March of Dimes. The Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is committed to Alpha's mission of developing leaders, promoting brotherhood and academic excellence, while providing service and advocacy to the community. More information about the Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is available at MOL Alphas on Facebook or via email at molalphas@gmail.com.
Hello, I'm Officer Victoria Evans. I have always had a desire to help others in need and to be an example and role model to young women by encouraging them to never give up on their dreams. My dream was to become a police officer and to serve my community. In 2016, that dream became a reality, and it is the most rewarding experience of my life. Now I want to let you know about the same opportunity. The Jonesboro Police Department will conduct testing every month for patrol officers. Applications are available online at jonesboropolice.com or at the Police Department, 1001 South Caraway Work. The Jonesboro Police Department offers a competitive salary, health, and retirement benefits, top-of-the-line training, and most importantly, the chance to make a difference in the Jonesboro community. Join me in making Jonesboro a better place. The Jonesboro Police Department is an equal opportunity employer, and women and minorities are especially encouraged to apply. More information is available at 870-935-5657.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. My special guest is Miss Maleigha Cook from the Craig County 4-H / Youth and Development Program. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in and listening, everyone for supporting KLEK, and special shout out to Dr. Branch, Sharice Jones-Branch, who's been really leading this conversation. I thank her so much. She's
wonderful. Thank you so much for asking questions and comments.
She has so much information, and she's been really helpful today. And she gave another comment. Well, we're going to talk about scholarships in a moment, but her other comment is a significant part of my book is about African Americans, county extension agents, once known as home demonstration agents. I remember having a conversation before.
That is so great. You are like seriously doing your homework, and I love it. So yes, it's really funny because, you know, we still have so far to go in society, I think, with equality, whether that's among genders or whether that's among race. But starting out in the extension world, women were only allowed, they just went into the homes. Really? And so they went and they took their information into the homes. And so that's what they did. And later on, the counties started implementing, they would have an African-American agent.
Okay.
And they would go into the homes, or if that was a male African-American agent, then, he could do farm stuff as well. But it still was very segregated at that point in time. So I think going back to the home demonstration, we still have something very similar to that today, and we don't go into the homes as much, but we do go to businesses, and then we do tons of stuff at the extension office. So we offer classes. So instead of going to, Miss Ball's house over here, now we present a program, say for KLEK, for a lunch and learn, or we offer a class at the office, say at 5 in the afternoon, over how to make sure your pressure canner is pressurizing correctly, how to properly can tomatoes, what is the correct pressure for that, or what is the correct water bath temp for that, how long do you do that. So we still do a lot of that, we just don't go out into the homes like we used to as much.
Oh wow. And Dr. Brent says the extension service wasn't segregated until 1965.
Yes, which to me that seems like, and I guess it is, but that just seems so close in time. Like, I think sometimes we forget how close we are to the things that we think are far away. I don't know if that makes sense. For instance, going all the way back to the Civil War, that just seems like it happened eons ago.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, it really wasn't that long ago in the term of time, So, but for me, I'm a 1978 model, and so for me to think of people not being able to go somewhere based on their color up until 1965, like my brain doesn't wrap around
that's
that.
only 40 plus.
Yeah, I mean that's like,
yeah.
So anyway, I'm very thankful that it's not that way, but I can't imagine. For sure, I just can't imagine not being able to go somewhere. Or do something up until 1965, 65 people, it took you that long.
I know. And I'm thinking, with her, bringing up that information, it's just, there's conversations we still need to have in society. And again, just going back to extension services, 4-H, and many other organizations that have been around for years, 50 plus years, we need to start having these conversations, because it's going to get lost in the next generation if we don't pass on these stories and this information.
110%. Yes. People talk about history repeating itself, and history does have a tendency to repeat itself. And I think that by not talking about it and not acknowledging it and shoving it under the rug, regardless of race, creed, religion, gender, I think that's the worst thing that you can do, because then you erase it from the next generation, and they don't have the concept of what really happened, So I'll tell you two things. The Holocaust, I hear people make jokes sometimes about things. I'm like, how could you do that? That's you need to be immersed in that. You need to think about that. And I took my youngest daughter to see the Dred Scott exhibition at St. Louis 2 years ago. And we were just reading some of the stuff there, and even some of the old tin type photographs that were there. And Jesse's like, Mom, I can't believe this really happened. I said, you need to read this. This is what keeps things from happening again. It's education and compassion.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that. All right. And Dr. Brent says, but across the board, extension service agents are very important throughout urban and rural communities. So thank you for your great. Well, thank you, Dr. Brent, for being a contributor.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for contributing.
All right, and so we have a minute and a half left. So, right quick scholarships.
Yes, and I know that you already know the answer to this, and you're setting me up for success by asking this, so I appreciate you. So, yes, tons of scholarships. Locally, I do a couple of small scholarships, obviously, for my seniors here. But when you start looking at state and national level, we're talking big buck scholarship. Wow. So, even just at the state level, let's say you win a record book. And now some of this is changing this year. But up until recently, and there still will be several affiliated with this, let's say you win a record book, you could win up to $1,000 to $3,000 based on who's sponsoring that. But, and I'm talking really fast, but let's say at the state level, let's say you showed an animal at the state fair. Guess what? There's thousands of dollars worth of scholarship. Let's say you want to go into poultry science. Let's say you want to go into art and design. Let's say you just want to go to U of A. So your U of A and your 4-H, hello, they go hand in hand because that's kind of our mothership. Wow. Boom, scholarship. So
and that money can just sit in the bank and wait till you go to college or whatever you choose to do in your life.
actually, it can start in your junior year, I believe.
That is amazing. All right, so parents, leaders in our community, anyone out there listening, please consider starting a 4-H and let's help equip our children with the tools they need to be successful in life and their future now and beyond.
Yes. And please get your children enrolled. Call me at the office, the county extension office, 870-933-4565. And like us on Facebook, Craighead County 4-H.
All right.
Oh, Fishing Derby coming up May the 24th, ASU Pavilion.
Fishing Derby, all
4:30 in the afternoon start time.
All right, so thank you so much, Ms. Maleigha. It's always a joy having you
here.
here.
I love coming. I love it.
And be on the lookout for more information. Again, I'll be doing the sewing club, so I'll be sharing more information, try to get some more people to join. So thank you, everyone, for supporting KLK. Hope you have a great and a blessed day.
Thank you for listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program